Hello and welcome to my case study, Internet Use Violations for my School Law class. Anytime you start with a case, you always need to start with the facts of what you know. These facts are pulled directly from the story that we were given as our case study. So I'm going to begin with what I know about Dr. Forbes. Dr. Stephen Forbes has been the principal of Roosevelt High School for 9 years. He has been recognized as Principal of the Year and is highly liked by all stakeholders. Dr. Forbes works diligently to fill teaching positions with highly qualified teachers. Dr. Forbes hired Miss Cindy Walker 1 year ago. Now we're going to move to what we know about Miss Cindy Walker. Miss Cindy Walker is a beginning teacher. She has never been married and is highly dedicated to her career. Miss Walker has her undergraduate degree, master's degree, and other postgraduate work. We know a little bit more about her. In the next slide, we'll continue with that. Miss Walker's classroom is rigorous and students experience high levels of stress due to the intense curriculum. Complaints have been filed about the high expectations Miss Walker expects. Miss Walker has been confronted by Dr. Forbes, the principal, about techniques she can use to help reduce student stress and create positive interactions with students, but she has failed to apply them. Now we're just going to talk in general about what we know about the situation. Miss Walker is in her second year of teaching and has been gone to visit family. Upon returning, she had an unidentified email asking her to check a specific website for a personal message. When she checked the message, she found suggestive and negative comments about herself and a final comment that read, "Who wants Miss Walker to disappear?" More information about the situation. Miss Walker called Dr. Forbes, the principal, to alert him about the situation, and he took a look at the website. After reviewing the website, he understood her concern, but thought the website was possibly a prank. Dr. Forbes asked her if she could think of anyone who might make this prank. Miss Walker stated Randy Franks, possibly due to his classroom activity and snide comments in class, and students often asked him for computer help. More information about the situation. Dr. Forbes is going to print hard copies of the email and web page for proof. A meeting will be held with Dr. Forbes, Miss Walker, Randy, and some of his friends to determine if they know about the website, possibly ask the district technologist to help determine where the email and web page originated from, and Miss Walker is going to stay at her mom's house for safety for the night. Questions I still have or things I'd like to know about this situation. Is it possible to trace where the email or web page was sent from? Is it possible that Randy Franks is the one who sent the email and set up the web page? Is the web page a prank? How do you how do you keep Miss Walker focused on instruction while a personal threat has been made to her? What else I want to know about the situation? Is it safe for Miss Walker to be alone at home? What is the school policy regarding threats, and should law enforcement be notified? So ultimately, once we figure out everything that we know about the individuals and the situation at hand, the problem is Miss Alice Walker, a second-year teacher at Roosevelt High School, has received an anonymous threat through a web page about wanting her to disappear. She now feels threatened. So anytime you present with a case, you then always have to come up with steps or action, a plan of action. So here are the steps that I would take. First, step 1, read the handbook about policy dealing with threats. Step 2, alert the assistant principal, assuming there is one, of the situation, as well as the superintendent or any other individuals who are in administrative roles that might need to be notified. 3, send technology specialists an email stating I need to have a meeting first thing in the morning. 4, interview Randy and a few of his friends in a casual manner to see if they spill any information about the web page. 5, set up a meeting with Randy and Miss Walker to discuss issues in class and possibly lead to the web page. The meeting shouldn't really be accusatory, but rather informative of ways to help class become more successful and less stressful for both parties, and possibly talk about ways to make classroom more successful. How am I going to complete my plan? 1, I'm going to take notes specific events in case it's needed for further investigation. Second, I'll keep information confidential and only notify people who need to know. This is not a situation the community needs to be aware of at this time. Third, keep a two-way street of communication open until all facts are known. Fourth, keep policies in mind and be sure to abide by what is printed. And fifth, keep focused on the problem at hand. To resolve the issue, one guiding question should always be what is best for students. And in this situation, we need to keep the students and the staff safe. We need to educate students on choices and consequences. And what I mean by that is when you have a threat, what is a possible consequence according to our school handbook and outside of the school. Possibly handouts on dealing with stress in the classroom to maybe lower the stress level for her particular class. Possibly transfer students to keep everyone's sanity and safety in mind. When you're resolving the issue, you also need the proof. Copy and highlight what the handbook states regarding threats within our district. The URL should be sent to the technologist to see if the creator can be discovered. Meet with Ms. Walker to discuss ways to create a positive yet rigorous classroom environment. I know it's been done, but do it again so that you have proof and put it in the notes. Meet with Randy Franks to discuss possible ways to deal with stressful class. Frequent classroom observations of Ms. Walker's class to see the progress of the techniques that should be used during instruction, and always make notes and have those available. Possibly put an aide or a parent in the class to have 2 adults in the room at all times. It's a witness. As I begin to debrief, I'm going to start with my thoughts. I know her class may be stressful, but no one deserves that kind of treatment. Why would someone do this? Another question I have is what actions provoked this kind of violent threat? Who was the one who sent the message and set up the webpage? How can I help, as an administrator, Ms. Walker deal with the situation? How do I, as an administrator, keep her focused on teaching and not her feeling uneasy? What can I do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Could this have been prevented? And what else do I need to know? Or excuse me, what do I need to do now? As I continue to debrief, I will move on to my feelings. I felt scared for Ms. Walker's safety, shocked that someone could have that much resentment towards one individual, anger that someone thought it was okay to send this web page, and guilt because I have provided techniques to make her classroom better, but she still hasn't improved, possibly leading to this situation. Debriefs on valuing. Ms. Walker is a professional and an educator. She has strengths of knowledge, and I am excited that she had the ability to alert me of the situation instead of heading straight to law enforcement or accusing a student. Unresolved issues, questions that are still at large that need to be figured out. Who sent the email? Did the same person set up the web page? Did an individual act alone? Can the origin of the email or web page be found? What do I do if I find the sender? What do I do if I don't find the sender? Does Ms. Walker need some sort of protection for her safety? Remember, she does live alone. Does Ms. Walker still want to teach at Roosevelt High? All things that still need to be resolved. As an administrator, how did I demonstrate a sense of integrity and ethical behavior? First off, I listened to Ms. Walker and assured her we would get to the bottom of it. Second, I reread the policy on threats to make sure I knew what the ultimate consequence could be and follow the correct steps. Third, I questioned Ms. Walker about who might have made the web page and made her reflect on her own classroom and techniques. And fourth, I printed the emails and web page for proof in case it was deleted. Technology seems to do some crazy things sometimes. How did I, as an administrator, treat people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect? First, I made plans to meet with Randy Franks and his friends. I didn't single him out to begin with. Second, I made plans to meet with Ms. Walker and Randy to come up to consensus together to hopefully meet on common grounds. And third, I listened to the complaints from parents about Ms. Walker's class, and then I provided techniques for her on ways to improve in her classroom. Finally, as an administrator, how do you demonstrate a personal and professional code of ethics? First, I showed concern to Ms. Walker when I checked the URL and understood why she was upset. Second, I showed concern when I told her we would try and figure out who might have done this through meetings and technologists helping, and also through her reflection. And finally, I showed she was valued because I communicated by listening and responding. Communication is an open, two-way street. This concludes my case study. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Thank you.